Hey guys, it's been a while. I haven't been making videos in the last few months, but now I have a lot of free time, or a lot more, so I'll be able to do that now. And just one quick announcement as well. So I'm gonna post a Calendly link on my YouTube. So if you're interested in doing like free mocks that just go up on this channel, you can book some time, and I can do either coding or practical coding or React coding. And I think it can help a lot of people with that because I'm like very good at like LeetCode and practical like coding type interview type stuff. Okay, so yeah, so I'm just gonna continue doing hard problems and videos, and I've recently started learning Swift, so I'm gonna start doing them in Swift. So let's see. I'm not gonna have a timer, and I'm like a little bit rusty on Swift syntax. So once I'm a little bit better at it, then I'll like start timing stuff. But the goal is basically going to be to do harder and harder problems, and then maybe do like contests or something, record contests, just to actually have a rating, so people can stop complaining about the oh, you did a lot of problems but you don't have a rating thing. But anyway, so let's do this one. So in this one, you're given integer array nums and integer k, and you want to split the array into some number of non-empty subarrays. The cost of a split is the sum of importance value of each subarray in the split. Trimmed. Okay, so you remove numbers that appear once. Okay, the importance value is the subarray length. For example, for here, so all numbers that appear once removed, so it'll be like 1, 2. Sure. Importance value of the subarray. Okay. Subarray is contiguous. So basically, right away, like they tell you you can essentially split your array into subarrays in like different places, and so that's already like a really common DP pattern, right? Like split it in a bunch of places and see what's the cheapest. So looking at the constraints of 1,000, so that would also work. We start at every index and we do every split possible. So just look at the examples to make sure we understand it correctly. So here we split like this. So every number that's removed once is removed, or every number that's once is removed. So this will be 0 plus 2, and this will be 4 plus 2. Let's see. Or did I screw that up? Trouble. K plus 5. Yeah, so in this one, so 2 is removed, 1 is not, and 3 is not. Okay, yeah, so it's 2 plus 2 plus 2, yeah, 6. Okay, yeah. Okay, here you can split like this, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay, and then, so 1, 2 will have a cost of 2, 1, 2, 1 will have a cost of 4, yeah. And then here, they don't split at all, so everything's included, so it's 5 plus 5, 10, yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's pretty standard DP, I think, and we can either do top down or bottom up. I think in this one, bottom up, like space and time will be the same. In this one, bottom up, I think will be pretty straightforward. We can basically just iterate backwards, starting at an index and then split. So let's just write down some like notes. And also, I'd recommend like if you're actually doing interviews, like do this kind of thing. I think this helps a lot. And from my interviewing experience at my company, and just having people, like doing a bunch of mocks with people, I think this helps a lot. So make like a short little plan of what you're going to do. So basically, we'll have like a DP array that we fill with zeros. And then we're going to iterate backwards through nums to do all splits possible. So for every index, we'll try to split like everything past that. Essentially, we're going to say we're starting here and we want to do all the splits from here. And so this will be like an n-squared solution. And yeah, and then the other part is like, how do we actually maintain the like what's the length of our current subarray? So basically the length of our current subarray is everything with numbers that only appear once removed. So what we can do is, or one way, so we don't want to use a set. Actually, yeah, we could use a set, we could use a dictionary. So a set will work here. So we can just have a set of like numbers. And basically, let's say our numbers is like this, right? So we can just say like, okay, how do we go through this and how do we maintain a length? So we can say, and we'll have our set over here. So we'll say like, okay, is 1 in our set? No, it's not. So this number only appears once, so let's add it to the set. Is 2 in our set? No, it's not. So the length will be 0 so far as well. So just 2 in our set? No, it's not. Okay, so we can add it to the set. Is 1 in our set? Yes. And now that we know that it appears... Actually, yeah, I think a set wouldn't be great because we don't know that, like, if this is the second time we've seen one or the third or whatever. And I think that does make a difference. So yeah, instead of a set, let's just use a map or dictionary or whatever. So we'll say like 1 will have a count of 1, which won't do anything. 2 will have a count of 1, which won't do anything. Now this one has a count of 2. And so what we can basically do is one of two things. We can remove the old count and add the new count, or we can have some logic. I think removing the old count and adding the new count makes sense. So we'll basically say like 0 minus 1, which was the old count, and now we'll add 2. So now we have a count of 2. And here, same thing. So 2 appears twice. And because it appears, like, because it's already here, then we will remove the old count and add the new count, so we'll have a count of 4. And then 1, we'll remove the old count and add the new count. Or you could, I guess, maybe it's simpler to think about it. Instead of removing the old count and adding the new count, just check. If it was 1 and it goes to 2, then you add 2. Any other thing, you add 1. So that would work as well. So now this would have 3, so we would just add 1 more. 3 is not in here, so we just add it. And now because it appears twice, we will, instead of adding 1, we'll add 2. So it'll be 7. And this is basically how you can maintain a length. And then the rest of it is just a backwards DP. Okay, so let's go with that. So the way to get length in Swift is count. And also Swift's a little bit confusing in terms of var is actually a const and var is a like a mutable variable, and let is a const, unlike JavaScript. But yeah, I really like Swift, so if you haven't tried it, I would definitely encourage trying it. It's basically a combination of like Python, Golang, and Java kind of. It's not very verbose, and it has a lot of like type safety and all this other stuff, and you can do a bunch of stuff. And you can do like Swift on server as well, which is like the main thing I'm doing. So yeah, so we'll just say like let n equals nums count. And then we want to make this DP array. We'll make everything 0, and we'll make a length of n plus 1. So you can just say like var. And in Swift, if you're mutating things in an array, you have to make it. You can't make it a constant. In JavaScript, like you can make it a constant because you're not changing the reference. But in Swift, most things are value type. So you are changing it, and then you have to basically do this. So the way to do this also is if you want to make an array of some length with some like number, you can say repeating. And so this is like the length of the array, which is n plus 1. And then we can give it a value. Actually, so repeating is the number, actually. I always confuse this. Repeating is like the number you want. So this would be like array fill or whatever in JavaScript. And then the count is the length. So here we can say n plus 1. Okay. So now we basically want to go backwards through the DP and then do like all iterations. So we can say like, there's a range in Swift, but if you go, the range can only go up by 1. So if you want to have something else, then you use a stride. So, and this is very similar in Python. So from is like the starting index. So this would be n minus 1. Yeah. And then you can go to or through, which just means like this is the end index. So this is like the last number is greater than or equal to this number. So this would be 0. And then the last part is by, which is like the step. Okay. Oh, is it a comma? Oh, that's right. Okay. So yeah. So there you go. So basically we start at n minus 1 index, and then we go here, and it's by -1. Okay. So we want to make a map every single time. So the way to make a dictionary, and there's a bunch of ways, but one way you could do it is you can say like counts equals this, but I think you have to provide a type. So because it's empty and we haven't provided a type, I forgot the exact way to provide a type, but there's like a bunch. So one way is just as simple as this, a dictionary given a type. So this is like int, and then you just like start it. This is like a generic way. There's a bunch of other ways. Okay. I'll take a look at the syntax later anyway, but this is one way to do it. Okay, so now we have that. Now we want to figure out like the cost of this, like the length and the cost of the splits and all that stuff. And we want to figure out like what's the cheapest split we can have starting here. So we can say like var cheapest. And then, so basically an int in Swift is, depending on your OS, is either 32 or 64, just like Golang. Most systems are 64, so yeah. So we can say this is going to be like, and you can have int max, which is like infinity in Python, same thing. Okay, so now we want to essentially split at every single point. So we can say for j, and now we can use a range. So basically we want to split, we'll say like this is the number we split after. So we'll say like I, and it has to be less than n. So this is basically in range. This is the syntax in range. If you want to be including n, then you do this. So, okay. So this is going to be like the last number of the current array, and then we'll split after. So we want to maintain, okay, so we want to get the length as well, right? So we can say var length equals 0. This is like the length of our current array. So then we can say like let num equals nums j if, so you can basically get like in a dictionary in Swift, if it's not there, it'll just give you null. It won't give you like a null pointer exception or something. So if let count equals, this is how you check if it's there, count num. So if the count exists, that means it's already at least a count of 1, and we just got the value here. So then we can say counts num equals count plus 1, basically increasing. So actually we need to check if the count is 0 as well, or if the count is 1. Because if the count is 1, then we need to increase by 2. So if count equals 1, then we'll do an extra increase here. So we'll just say length plus 1. Okay. Then otherwise, or if it's not the count of 1, then we just increase by 1 more. Or by just only 1. So if it's a count of 1, we didn't include it the first time, we need to include it now. So this will basically be here, just length plus equals 1 here. And then counts num, we just increase the count. Okay. So if this is not true, that means this is not in the dictionary, then we'll just set the count to 1. So we'll just say counts num equals 1. And Swift is very strict about if you access a value, like because it can be null, anywhere you don't check for null, like this checks, you'll get like an error. So it's very good about like type safety and all that stuff. Okay, so yeah, so we basically have that. Then we just want to try to split here. So we'll just say like cheapest equals, I think you just do like min cheapest. So this is the length of the array plus k plus dp of like the next index we're at. So j was the last one of where we're at. So we'll do j plus 1. Okay. And that should do it. And then finally, once we get the cheapest, we need to actually store it. So dpi equals cheapest. And then basically, what we need to do finally at the end is just say like, okay, what's dp of 0? Because that's starting at the first element. So dp is 0. And yeah, you can see like the function signatures are also like very similar to Python and stuff, but except these are actually enforced in Python. You can do whatever you want. Even if you write int, you can do whatever. In Swift, you'll get an error. So that's kind of nice. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, so the problem is, let's see. Okay, so the problem is, even though we did this, it's still saying like counts num is, counts num might not be there. And so there's a few ways to solve this, but basically we know it's there. So we can just say, like, because it can be null and it's giving you an error here, we can just say like counts null or 0, or basically like counts num equals, actually we can just rewrite it as well. We can just say counts num equals count plus 1 instead of doing the count plus thing. And that will always work, I think. So actually, let me go back. Why did I do the like this thing at all? Right, so counts num plus equals 1, counts num equals 1. Oh, okay, so this needs to be in an else block. Yeah, and I'm still like not the best at like writing like great Swift and stuff, so I'll work on that. But anyway, so this we can just say equals count plus 1. Okay, so basically we know the count exists, and so they tell you so counts num. Yeah, and you can hover over it and see like if it's basically optional is like nil or null or the number. Okay, let's give that a try. Can't find J in scope. So this needs to not be here. Needs to be here. Okay. Okay, so there are also not a lot of Swift solutions, but yeah. I don't know. Oh yeah, so this is not needed. But you see how like, or hopefully you see that like you make a plan, you figure out what to do, and then from there it's like not that hard to write the code. And I think I would definitely encourage this. And it doesn't take that long. Okay, anyway, so the next part is we can figure out like time and space. So yeah, because and in interviews you won't be given like these constraints like so I think the constraints are a little bit of a crutch, but in like OAs and like HackerRanks or whatever you are given them, and then you can figure it out like what will pass. So yeah, this basically is n squared and n because we have the DP array, and that's it, and that's n. So yeah, so the next thing I think I would strongly recommend is as you do more of these problems, you want to improve the quality of your code, because like the cleaner you can write your code, and if you know like, okay, this is the best way to write this thing, it'll help your logic and like do better. So the next part here, especially since I'm new to Swift, you just like literally throw it into GPT and say like, can we clean up this code? And then it'll give you suggestions that are good or bad, and then from there you can like figure out what you could have done better. Some suggestions are obviously going to be bad, but yeah. Probably could have done this while I was going over the time and space and all that. So I think this model actually takes quite a while. Well, maybe not. So let's take a look what it suggested, and let's see if it improved anything. So this is all the same so far. Okay, so this is another way to make a dictionary. You can give it a type, and you have to give it this. You can't do this because now it can be like a dictionary of any type. So if you look, it's any hashable, which is like not correct. So yeah, so this is another way to write it. Okay, extra cost. Best. Okay, so they use a default, which is another way to do it. So basically, like, if you don't have this, this will be optional, so it can be null. You can provide a default as well, which is fine. So if count equals 1, extra cost, this is also basically the same. Like, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, this is the same logic. And then this is the same as we had. Yeah, so there aren't really any improvements other than maybe like this part. So yeah, I would argue that this is like basically the same. And yeah, so instead of this dictionary, I mean, whatever format you prefer, but yeah, so you could do that. So we'll do it this way. So this just means empty dictionary in Swift. Okay, so yeah. Okay. So yeah, so I'll keep doing more of these. I'll have more time now, so probably maybe do one a day or two. And then yeah, definitely I'll put up a Calendly on my YouTube. So if you are interested in mocks, if you're interviewing for like intern or entry level or mid level at a FANG, or that type of interview, definitely can help you out with those. But yeah, thanks for watching.